So here we have a Midland port-a-pak, and it's got a strange lack of a switch on the back and a strange remains of something, and it's dead. And my test set's doing its little thing when it warms up. I don't know why it does that. And it's got an extra board. And we don't do extra boards, do we? I did email the customer and says you can either have it back as is, not working, because this will have killed it. I would need some really big pliers or an angle grinder to cut that up. You know, when people start grinding the numbers off chips, it really is, you think, oh my goodness. You really do. So we're going to have to spend some time trying to sort out this silliness. So it's a 2781 set, and that illegal modification makes it do the CPT set of channels for whatever reason, and you can't do that on a 2781 set, or it is no longer a legal radio. So put the soldering iron on and hope we can reverse it and fix the set as well. That's a potentiometer, and I think somebody's done some daft variable power thing and used the switch to do the 80 channel. So we'll see if we can reverse this, and then we can see if we can power the set back up. Ow, that was hot. Oh, well, it's got some extra ventilation, hasn't it, now, through the board? So what they've done here, which, although is illegal, is nevertheless clever, because the board can either use an LC7137 synthesizer chip or an LC7136. The 336 has got fatter pin spacing, so what they've done is to utilise those extra holes to shove their daft wires to do their daft modification. My solder sucker is broken, and I am expecting replacements. We do buy these 5 at a time, and they do last quite a time, but unfortunately it died yesterday. And so there'll be no more sucking until the new one arrives. I think it's there. That looks like pin 2. There we go. think we've got continuity there, and I think that track's supposed to go over to that. I wonder if we've got a scrap board. I know we have somewhere, but as I've said many times before, there's building work going on here, and one of the places we keep stuff, we've kind of filled with the other stuff, so I can't really get in. Yeah, I think that's going to be the case. The worst case scenario, I can open up one of our working sets, but I'd rather not. What we can be doing is sorting out the no power situation on this radio, probably. Well, the bad news is that the diode's been taken out for polarity protection. It seems to be a bypass wire on external speaker, so what's that about? Right, well, let's get rid of this daft power control. What's this all about? Is this to make it more powerful? So we've mounted the driver on a extra heatsink and then put that bigger heatsink. What they're hoping to do, manage to get 4 watts out of it. So we're going to have to find a scrap chassis because I want to keep the bloke's costs down. So more junk for the vertical filing cabinet. So we need to put a new power control in there. That's a different resistor. It's a shame because these start off as such nice radios. So this switch really needs to come out and be moved across. I'm going to go into the workshop where there's spanners. That pin 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the 5th pin along. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Should be that one. Perhaps it's that one. There we go. So that, where's that go? So this switch will now go back to being high-low power. So what that's doing is one pole is also doing a frequency trim. Right, so I'm sure we can find out what happens where by looking at another set. It's clear to me that diode 108 is a protection diode which is totally missing. So pause the video and we'll get a working set or a scrap chassis or something to do some comparisons. So the good news is I've actually found one on the shelf which is absolutely untouched, and it's exactly the right model, 805 UK, and I've no idea about its origin or anything. I know I did buy a number of these off eBay at one point, or just the body like this. So I can open this one up, and hopefully this hasn't had silly things done to it. And when we can do a comparison. I prefer to do this and take apart a working set, and the working sets are not necessarily stored here. I'll try not to mix our scruffier lid up with the customers. Let's take picture-in-picture off because we're looking at the frequency counter, which is pretty pointless on a dead set. I bought these about 15 years ago. While I've got this in mind, I'll probably service this at the same time. We don't have any accessories. Right, here goes. No silly heatsink. So the first thing we'll look at is that diode in, which I think is a protection diode. And there is a diode down there. And there isn't a diode, so there's a protection diode, so we'll get that changed. And I'll have a look at the circuit diagram and I'll see how many ohms the power control is. And we'll get that swapped, and then we just need to look at what they've done with the wiring here. So it's quite straightforward to just put that back. So if we just zoom in, So you've got two pads there which are joined together, which are R. That pad connects to a missing component and over to the pin of the chip. Don't know whether I introduced that short circuit, but it has one. It hasn't now. And that goes to the missing component. That missing component is probably going to be a capacitor. I'll look it up on the circuit diagram, it'll be easier. We'll get that replaced with a new one. So basically we've just got to link that to there with the new capacitor, which I'm sure it will be, and the capacitor ending there. Then I don't know what's happened there. I think they just drilled that out to put their wire through. I don't think there's a continuity problem, but we'll just see whether it will solder across without putting a wire across. A bit better. Just check that isn't. No, that's just a splodge. Don't seem to have cut any tracks there. Now, of course, we need to find out why the radio is dead. So it shouldn't have that linked across. But this might mean that the extension speaker socket is knackered. Oh, it wasn't even connected to the other end, had fallen off. So I was concerned that perhaps that resistor down there had changed value. Let's just get that in. There's a resistor there. I can't quite see the colours. It looks like 10 ohms. And I can't see what that is either. But we'll see how the PA tunes up. So I need to get the circuit diagram. Right, we'll put the diode in the protection thing. I don't need a service manual to tell me that it's a 1N4000 series. We'll just put 1N4001 in, which is 50 volt rated. So at 1 amp. So we've got a service manual, I wouldn't have taken this on. And we've got the circuit, and we've got a redrawn version, if that's got any accuracy to it. So we need to find out what the power preset is supposed to be. So it's 601? No, that'll be the resistor underneath. We don't even know its number. So 106 by the looks of it. There's trouble when it's a scan of a photocopy. It's 470 ohms. It's just there. So without it, we can actually, I think we can run the set at the moment, because it'll automatically be in high power mode. So without that, it will be high power. With the switch closed, it will then go to low power. So we don't have to fiddle with that at the moment. So 470 ohms. We haven't got that style of preset in stock. I don't want to order it in, because it's going to delay the set, but we may well have something like a high quality scrap handheld which we can recover one off, like this beautiful realistic. But no, that's got conventional presets in it. Anyway, we'll think of something. So what we want to see is what capacitor is missing from down by the synthesizer. So if we look at mine, and I've got all this nice wiring here, which that hasn't. If we look at mine, we have that capacitor there, and if we look at his, we haven't got that capacitor. We've also got some more wires to remove, which I hadn't noticed. That's one, and that's on pin 3. So in fact I can't see a capacitor missing. No, it's the capacitor that's in is that one there, and that one, although it's a different colour, it's there. So hang on a minute, what does that do? We've got a capacitor going to a purple lead. Diode, capacitor, supposed to be a capacitor, looks to be looks like capacitor 22. And it's 33 picofarads in my set. I think we need to pop that out because that doesn't look like it's the right value anymore. In fact, it's an extra capacitor he's added. So 33 picofarads is still there, and the one he's put in, can't even read it. So that wouldn't have mattered if I'd have left it there, it was just floating around, but at least we've taken it out. And he drilled an extra hole, so it was okay. Now I can see something's happened here. He's put a crystal filter in. Now that can stay, as long as the radio works when we come to test it. It's had a crystal filter added. I don't know whether the termination's correct, but we'll assume that it worked. There's a resistor missing. So it's quite possible that that does work properly. I don't know what they were trying to turn this into. I really don't. So it seems to me that all we have to now do is solder up the cut bits of track. So we'll just get some thin strands of wire. I usually find just a bit of multi-core. I don't like it to be solid. It's just too stiff. So twist a couple of those together. What I don't want to do is just put a big blob of solder across. Just a bit of vibration and it's gone. And then we've got to sort out the original snag, which is it's not powering up. least you don't have to use the microscope on these. So once again we'll tin the end of my little 2 strands. So the bit of wet yellow wire I've got here is out of this radio, so that's even better. So theoretically, I think that would work if the radio is capable of powering up. So, has the customer sent a power lead? What on earth's happened here? At least he's got a dummy battery. That goes in there, doesn't it? Yeah, that goes in there. We'll use this to power the setup for now. Oh, it falls out. Does it fall out of ours? Well, it's not ideal, is it? Where does that black wire go? That black wire doesn't go anywhere. Been added somewhere. I think we'll see if ours powers up. We'll see if our set powers up with his little stubby bit. I said our set. Switch the power supply on. Yeah, it's a bit iffy, his connector, so it's not reliable. I have to see if we've got a... We haven't got right angle ones, but at least we've got something which might fit. So it is capable of powering up, so we've got the polarity right. So I wonder if his is now capable of powering up. Whoa, dead short. Now why would that be? I don't know where we're going to get another connector from. This is where you are really in trouble. And I haven't got a solder sucker on here because it's broken. So why is there a short? Have I introduced it? Have I put the diode in the wrong way around? It's the kind of thing I'm clever enough not to do, hopefully. But it's always possible. And we'll look into that. So as luck would have it, I had a look in a box of recently bought scrap boards, which haven't gone into storage yet. And lo and behold, we come across 2 of these, and that one has still got its socket. So let's feel how that fits. Ah, it's not the power socket, it's the speaker socket, but that could be iffy as well. So we're still stuck on the power socket. But that preset's broken, That one is in one piece, so we'll be able to take that from there, and it saves ordering one in. So we're on a winner, and we are for the customer too. So in order to get to the preset there, which I've taken off the scrap board, we've had to take out the transistor. Now I'm not sure that this is transmitting, even if it worked. So while we've got this device out, we may as well check it. I'm also tempted to take this bulky heatsink off, so we can actually get to things in the future. Yep, that's working. That's okay then. So take that off. I borrowed a solder sucker from another bench to get myself out of the no solder sucker dilemma. I don't know where the right pliers are, or even the screw. We don't have spanners on this bench, but we do normally have the correct spanners. I'll start again. We do normally have the correct pliers. Right, so that now should look like mine. I just don't want to get this the wrong way around, do I? You know what, I'm going to check that again, because we're not sure which way round it came out. At least this will tell me the pin out. So what's indicated? Base collector emitter, so blue, red, green, from left to right. Blue, red, green. Blue, red, green. So, oh, it's timed out. So in fact it's actually the opposite way round to the one in mine, because the nut and bolt's been transposed. Right, so we're not bothered about the switch at the moment. I needn't have done that, but we did do. We've still got a power problem, haven't we, with the connector? Right, we'll try and power that up. So we've still got a dodgy socket. Don't know what we're going to do about that, except probably a less dodgy plug. Well, I've still got no power on the radio. So it's possible that the socket's dodgy. So we'll move away from... We know the chassis is negative on this. So have we got power if we go there? The radio is on. And we've got no current draw whatsoever. What have we got, an open circuit choke? Just check mine powers up using that method. So we'll connect the negative to the chassis, and we'll go on that point there. No, it doesn't. So is that the connection? Yeah, it's the next connection across. It's always handy when there's something to check with. I'd rather experiment with my set than the customer's. So once again we've got that on the negative chassis, and now we'll go on that connector. And we're still greeted with a dead set. So that's where the... Because I can't see anything in there. I can't see anything in there. No. Turn the power off. Compare mine again. Green wire's missing. So we should have got that brown wire, the green wire, which looks to go to, is missing. Which is supposed to go to the mic socket. That's a bit bizarre. I just wonder where the other green wire goes, because there's one down here as well. Ah, it's that green wire. Aha. That's the green wire that goes to the power. So, where's that? The green wire's still there. But it goes to there. Yep, actually that's the right one. So that green wire must be the one that goes to the front panel. It is. Oh well, that's not going to make it work, but it's something which is going to help make it work in the future. I don't think that's where our power's disappearing. Let's see whether we've got a bit of green wire on a scrap chassis somewhere, so it's at least the right colour. Now here's a scrap fake Amstrad. Let's pinch a bit of wire out of this. And let's hope that's long enough. Only just. So the other thing, before we even get it powered up, is the loading coils being removed and bypassed for the external port-a-pak aerial. I don't know what they were doing there. What, they got a 9-foot whip. So on the correct version, we've got a coil there, and we've got a capacitor on the output across the. It's part of the filtering to stop interference, no doubt mainly on the third harmonic. So that wire actually needs to go down there. There's a hole for it. You know, if you don't look at these things, the customer put it on the proper aerial, shall we say. And the next thing, he'd have got a very high SWR. Do you know what? That's too short. So we're going to have to just take. We're going to have to see if there's a capacitor on one of the scrappers. And a coil. We can do the coil, that's fine. It's a slightly different version, this. L203. We'll battle on. The other thing, which is a total cock-up, this hasn't worked since it was messed with. They've got a washer there. Well, there shouldn't be a washer because it's insulated. So you have the nut, a spring washer, the device tab, then you have a mica insulator washer, you then have a plastic bushing, and then the bolt goes through, and of course the whole thing is isolated. So on this one, it's all there. I think it's all there. Yeah, I can feel the mica. There, that's my one, isn't it? So, yeah, I've got the mica on that one. We've got the spring washer. We've got the insulating bush, and then they've put a big metal washer, which neatly shorts it to chassis. We need to take that washer off. Oh, look, they have got a mica insulator, but it's incomplete. I just don't know what they were doing that for. I really don't. Anyway, it was measuring as short on my meter, so there we go. So that goes on there. That all goes in there. And then the nut and bolt, because that's now floppy, it needs to be they put a nut and bolt on between the extra heat sink. So I'll have to renew that. Don't have to do that now, but that should have removed the short circuit. So we'll just recheck that now. So we should have continuity between there and the tab, there and the bolt, but not there and chassis. So that's now correct. So that's removed the short circuit. But we've still not got power on this radio. It's alright doing these little jobs here and there, and it all helps in the future, but somewhere there's no power. So just to recap, we connect the negative to there, and if we connect the positive to the power switch, well, it's not very promising, is it? Oh yeah, there we are. We've got so if we connect power to the correct point on the radio, we've got no power. So I think it goes across to there. So it's still work in progress.